As a topic to our philosophical thinking project, we chose the employee crisis in the US, and as a context, we chose, as I said before, the employee crisis in the US caused by the pandemic and the mistreatment of newer generations.
It's very important to avoid this topic in a philosophical way because there are a lot of philosophical ideas present in this conflict, such as capitalism, liberalism, socialism, etc. Also, we use the philosophy to reflect about this topic because the philosophical ideas help us to analyze in a better way this topic and also to see this problem with different perspectives. The philosopher that we use as a base of our arguments and the theory that we use is Karl Marx and his communist manifesto.
As our thesis, we chose how capitalism causes employee exploitment, no matter what the economic situation is. And as my first argument, I said that capitalism causes employers to care very little about their employees and more about their capital. This causes employees to have fewer benefits and a minimum wage, causes a sense of incompetence and discontent. This can not only be seen in the workplace, but in everyday life, increasing class warfare and working class discontent, as described by Karl Marx in his Communist Manifesto, describing it almost word for word this problematic.
Perhaps it is true that capitalism forces managers or directors to neglect or exploit their employees since they are focused on their interest and on the company's capital. But let's not forget that capitalism supports entrepreneurship. Uh, and in these generations, with a context where millennials choose to abandon or to leave their routine and boring jobs, entrepreneurship is fundamental. In addition to the fact that capitalism generates great wealth with investment of private capital. That is why I agree that employees should not underestimate it and that this has led to the resignation of many people in highly developed countries such as the United States. But without doubt, the advantage of capitalism, such as the free market, play a fundamental role. And more in this context, where, as I mentioned before, the millennials are leaving their jobs. So entrepreneurship is fundamental and is vital in the economy of the countries nowadays.
I would say that entrepreneurship is not necessary in a socialist country, since if we would all have works that fits our necessities and capacities, we would all have the same income and would be fulfilled because they are taking account our capacities. Also, eliminating social classes and inequality. We can see an example of this working in the real life with China, which is a country that adopted a lot of communist and socialist policies, and nowadays is one of the most important countries economic wise.
I'm not sure about that because I believe that the solution for a better world is not social class equity, because that will mean that the demand of employment is very low or almost nil, which will force many people to lose their jobs. There is quite the importance of capitalism since it creates labor competition in many aspects, and this causes both young and adult employees to do their best to maintain their position of the job. And as we know, competition in the economy is vital for development. Also, that we all belong to the same social class refers to the fact that we'll have the same economic possibilities, in quotes, which means that all have the same money. And this will make a world without competition and without any sense, since no one will fight or make an effort to achieve a greater world. That's the problem if everyone has the same the same money. And finally, in conclusion, capitalism has advantage and disadvantage, and in this context, capitalism has played a very important role because it's true that a lot of directors or the head of very big enterprises are exploiting their employees, and this means that they are neglecting or they are leaving their jobs. But we don't have to forget that capitalism plays a very important role in the economy, and nowadays the capitalism is in charge to support entrepreneurship. So this is all, and thank you.